So there's a new movie called The Ghost Game, and this is about a guy and his girlfriend. He finds out that she likes to play this thing called like the Ghost Game. And what it is that they sneak into people's houses, record themselves as they convince people that they have a ghost or that their house is haunted. They like to screw with them while they're asleep. You know, they hide up in their attic or wherever they can in the house, and they like to play pranks on people by making them think that things are happening in their house that are paranormal. Very cool concept. I mean, this, of course, I would liken to another movie, but that reveal within the film is the twist of the film, so I can't say what film that is, but if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I do like this conceptually. Now, this is written by Adam Cesare, I think is his name, the guy who wrote the Clown in the Cornfield books, which Kaylee and I did a book club thing with, and I read both 1 and 2. There's a third out now that I have not read, and supposedly we are getting an adaptation that's in post-production on that, so I'm looking forward to it because I did read those books. But he also wrote another movie from earlier this year, which I didn't even realize until I watched this and then was clicking on names to see, because I like to know like who's connected to what. After I'd seen that this was produced by Eduardo Sánchez of Blair Witch, and that Michael from Blair Witch is a character in it, I was like, wait, okay, who else was involved in this? You know, was anybody else that I know in this? And so I saw that, and then I saw that he had also written a movie from earlier this year called Last Night at Terrace Lanes, which I didn't care for much at all. And I was like, oh, wow. So as this continued to go on, I was like, Jesus, man, maybe you need to stick to books, or you need to hire better directors for your work. I don't know. I thought this movie was terrible. There's just, I really don't like it. And, you know, conceptually, as I said, I dig the concept of it. The execution, the dialogue, the performances, the way it's shot, everything about this movie was poor to me. Like, I really, really just pretty much hated almost everything about it. The characters are insufferable. Like, they don't give you proper motivations. Like, there's so many cool things that could be done with this concept where you're really screwing with people and you're ramping it up, and you know, you have the characters pushing each other harder to go bigger, to take more risks, right? Because that's like the idea, I guess, behind this, is that it's a rush, it's a thrill. You are risking your life, you're risking your freedom. You can get caught, you can get killed, you can get arrested, you can put, you know, whatever. And screwing with these people. Now, of course, do I condone stuff like this? Of course not. That's fucking insane. But for the purposes of a film and entertainment, seeing these characters motivated by their desire for a thrill, you know, and them pushing themselves and whatnot. I don't know. They add all of these little elements where they are going to stay in a haunted house that a new resident has purchased, and they're going to convince them that this house is actually haunted, and then things start happening there. The relationship drama between the guy and the girl it's just, it doesn't add anything to the film. It just makes the film more insufferable, because their like chemistry together is non-existent. Their performances together are just not good at all. The main guy, I could not stand. I could not handle him. He was driving me insane. I didn't like anybody. I didn't like anybody's performances. You know, I'm a big Blair Witch fan. I thought Mike was terrible in this. He has some moments in this where he's like yelling and really giving like some dramatic I thought he was giving really, really poor performance throughout. So, yeah, I don't want to harp on this too much. I could sit here and pick apart so many things within the film that I didn't care for, but you basically, you name it, and I really thought it was fairly poor, because once again, the concept is ripe for so many interesting ways that it could go, and so many things that you could do with it, right? It's like a haunted house that you get to kind of see the inner workings, right? Like for instance, when you take a movie like Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and you get to follow around the killer and see how he sets up traps, to see how he operates behind the camera, right? We got this recently with In a Violent Nature. You're following around the serial killer. Typically, Jason's, in the shadows, and he pops up at the right times, and you always wonder, like, how do you do that? To be able to see, like, people pretending a house is haunted, it's like a prank encounters or like Punked or something, where you get to see the behind the scenes of, like, how the prank comes together, and then how things might not be working exactly how they're supposed to, because there's an extra element on the outside of the edges that we can't even see, that the characters can't even see. There's so much to do there, and they just don't. It's really a lot of fighting between them, and there's so many scenes where they're supposed to be hiding in the house. Okay, so take the movie like Don't Breathe, right? Where they're breaking into this house and they find out that the resident there is blind. Or actually, no, they know he's blind. Yeah, they know he's blind. Doesn't matter. The whole gimmick of the movie, right, is that they're supposed to be quiet. If they make a noise, if they breathe, they can be heard and then killed. The same concept is here, is to where, like, they're living in someone's house unbeknownst to them for night after night as they're screwing with them. Never in this movie do they screw with them in any way that's entertaining. Never do they set up something that makes the film like, oh, that's really messed up. Oh, that's really funny. Oh, that's clever. That's, whatever. Like, never did that happen. Like, it's all just the most useless shit you've ever seen. It's not interesting at all. So that's a huge failure, because that's literally like the whole premise of the film. So that's that alone is to me makes the film not worth a watch. But it's also like there's so many moments where you're so annoyed by how little attention to detail there is on anything, because, as I had said within the movie Don't Breathe, they're very adamant on this idea that you gotta be quiet, right? If you're not quiet, you'll be heard, right? And you feel that throughout the entire film. Like, the rules of it are always present. They're always acknowledged by the characters. They never, unless of course something happens and they make a noise, and that's when they get attacked. Within this, him and her are up there having like full-on conversations. Sometimes they're like yelling at each other. I'm like, you're living in a house that you're not supposed to be in. These people are already on edge, listening to every corner because they think that their house might be haunted. There's multiple people in the house. It's not that big. It's at night. It's completely silent. And you're like yelling at each other. And they do it like multiple times. You're like, how are these people not getting caught? And it all comes from this place where she's like obsessed with this guy who does it and thinks he's an artist. And then that comes into play later on. And it's just so dumb. And it makes no sense. And it is so convoluted. And it's so unnecessarily convoluted. And it's like, what is this movie? Like, I genuinely don't understand. This is so fucking terrible. God, I hate movies like this so much. I just don't understand them at all. I don't understand how they get made. How do you have like a good idea, a good concept, and you squander it so spectacularly? It is baffling to me. But anyway, that's that. Not a recommendation. And if you do happen to break into somebody's house and you're trying to not be caught, I don't know, maybe don't yell at your partner that you brought that didn't even want to be there in the first fucking place. Just an FYI. Or, better yet, don't break into people's houses. All right, see you in the comments. Bye.